What's up, YouTube? We back with another video, and today we reacting to Gritty TV. Shout out Gritty TV. But yeah, world's most evil brother who snapped and killed his own sister. Crazy work, G. But again, like, comment, share, subscribe, join the channel. We're going to channel, come and grow with us again. I'm about to start dropping these sweatshirts and hoodies y'all see me with. Gorillas Don't Talk is the brand. So when I get that website up, I will put the link in the description. And you guys can start ordering. Shout out to all my subscribers before we get started. I appreciate y'all. Everybody new here to the channel. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Share this channel. Help me grow this channel, man. So we can all grow together. And with that being said, let's get into the video.
A married couple and their unborn baby shot to death in the middle of a park on Labor Day. Maple Heights police say the person who pulled the trigger was that woman's younger brother.
Are you rest of your emergency? I got certified! My cousin is 30 weeks pregnant! She got shot!
When I wake up tired, I know it's because of the energy I spent hating you. I know I will be forever tired because I will forever hate you.
It was on Monday, September 4th, 2023, when reports would circulate in Maple Heights, Ohio, about a terrible murder case. A young couple had just been murdered in broad daylight alongside their unborn child.
I be up through Maple sometime, you know what I'm saying? So I'm from the city, Cleveland. This in Cleveland, Ohio. So Maple, I'm hip to that. I just did a video on shooting that happened in Shaker. So yeah, I know all about these areas.
However, the really disturbing part of this story was when sources revealed that the woman's brother was the one who pulled the trigger. The reasons why this man did what he did will shock you. Trey and Mercedes were a beautiful couple, happily married with a beautiful future ahead of them. Trey, who was 31, and Mercedes, 30, had tied the knot just a few months ago. Trey worked as a podcaster, while Mercedes was a cosmetologist and makeup artist. The couple lived in Maple Heights, Ohio, a serene suburb of Cleveland. Before her marriage to Trey, Mercedes was just another beautiful, young Black American woman making her way through life in the vibrant city. She had a successful career and also had a great personality. She was warm, caring, and fun to be around. All that was needed was a man to love and complete her world. That dream became a reality when Trey proposed to her. Trey and Mercedes had been dating for a few years, and the relationship had been going smoothly. But at the peak of their love, Trey proposed to Mercedes in the grandest of style, a public proposal. She said yes. Following the heartfelt proposal, Trey and Mercedes got wedded. It was a beautiful union filled with laughter and happiness, but their joy doubled when Mercedes discovered she was carrying a baby. The couple couldn't hold back their joy and quickly went to check the baby's gender. It was a baby girl. They didn't hesitate to share the amazing news with the rest of the family. The couple were preparing to welcome a baby in November and had even picked out a name. They were expecting a baby girl. However, their hopes were cut short one morning after they went to visit their soon-to-be grandma. It was a visit that would end in tears and bloodshed. It was on Labor Day that the tragedy happened.
A married couple and their unborn baby shot to death in the middle of a park on Labor Day. Maple Heights police say the person who pulled the trigger was that woman's younger brother.
On that fateful day, Mercedes and her husband Trey had gone to drop off a stroller for Mercedes' mom. But then, when they arrived, Jason Iverson, Mercedes' brother, showed up out of nowhere and shot her dead. He didn't stop there. He also killed Trey before fleeing the scene.
Wow.
The mom tells me she was actually at Stafford Park yesterday at a church picnic, and the reason that her daughter and son-in-law came by was to do her a favor. They were just dropping off her great-grandson's stroller. Well, that's when her son showed up and did the unthinkable.
According to eyewitnesses, Jason Iverson arrived at the park shortly after 3 p.m.
He just pulling up. He about to go blick his sister down and her husband. Like, something wrong with him up here, though, G. I ain't even gonna hold. He got it out. He walking with it out. He look angry. He just walking angry. and like he about to go do this for real. That's crazy. He ain't thinking about nothing else. He know he about to put that motherfucker to work. He about to put it to work.
And immediately he came. He started a physical altercation with Mercedes and her husband. The couple tried to avoid any fights since they were in public. They tried walking off to their car. Little did they know that Jason would follow and shoot them both.
This park was full of people for Labor Day events when an alleged family feud left 3 people dead and another injured. Now, we want to warn you that some of these 911 calls you're about to hear are very disturbing.
911, what's the address of your emergency? I got certified. My cousin is 30 weeks pregnant. She got shot.
The horrible incident was witnessed by Mercedes' mom, as well as another relative.
30 weeks pregnant and getting shot is diabolical. G. To shoot your 30-week pregnant sister that's unthinkable. That's inhumane. Like, that's crazy.
It was shocking. When cops arrived, they found the lifeless body of Mercedes with her unborn baby alongside her husband, dead. The horrifying news soon began to make rounds in Cleveland, and detectives came to the mom for
This is the premium Garmin Duffel 45 liter by Half Day. It's a transforming 2-in-1 travel duffel bag for long weekends.
questions.
Trey was more excited than Mercedes because Mercedes was the one that was sick.
She says the Parma couple was only at Stafford Park in Maple Heights on Labor Day to do her a favor, to drop off a stroller.
Then out of the blue, my son shows up, and as soon as he sees them, he's just like, he just goes off.
To even have to know what she got to go through because her son killed her daughter. That's a different type of thing too. Like, that's her son, that's her daughter. The murderer of her daughter is her son. So, like, that's something you can't even wrap your turban around for real. I ain't even gonna hold you, G. That's crazy.
So I don't know what he was doing before that got him so enraged, but he just wouldn't let up.
According to Cynthia, Mercedes' mother, her brother had been holding a grudge against Mercedes for a long time. Although she never gave out any details, she believed this grudge was what escalated to the point that Iverson snapped that very day. However, she sometimes blamed herself for the incident, as both Mercedes and her husband never would have shown up at Stafford Park if not for her. You see, the couple had come that day particularly to see Mercedes' mom. Little did they know that her brother had other plans. As soon as he came and saw them, all hell broke loose. According to Mercedes' mom, she has no idea what had made Jason so enraged, but he snapped immediately when he saw Mercedes and her husband. He shot her.
Do you have any idea why your son was so
It was like on some weird shit, like he had a crush on his sister and mad she with another nigga. Like, nigga, that's crazy.
upset with your daughter and her husband?
Well, that's a long story in itself, but the bottom line is he was holding a grudge. He just wouldn't let it go. It just festered, and I guess that was the end result.
Jason and Mercedes were just 1 year apart. Cynthia Ivey, who refused to share exact details of what beef Mercedes had with his sister, did admit that she never expected things would end this way.
Never in a million years could Ivy have imagined that her 29-year-old son, Jason Iverson, would shoot and kill his own pregnant sister and her husband in cold blood.
Him and his sister has always been close. He's always been able to call her and she would bail him out of whatever it was.
Jason killed Mercedes and her husband right there in front of their mom. It was horrible. No one would have imagined that 21-year-old Jason Iverson would be capable of doing such a thing to his blood sister. Jason and Mercedes had always been close. They had always kept in touch, and Mercedes had always been there to save him from whatever trouble he found himself in. And so, it was like a nightmare when the once beautiful family bonding experience ended up as a 911 phone call.
911, what's the address of your emergency? I got certified. My cousin is 30 weeks pregnant. She got shot!
Screams everywhere as people ran for safety at Stafford Park in Maple Heights on Labor Day. Maple Heights PD releasing that Jason Iverson allegedly came to the park and shot his pregnant sister, Mercedes Iverson.
Listen, is she breathing at all?
No, it's blood everywhere. It's coming out of her mouth.
Okay, all right. We're on the way.
When you bleed and get shot and bleeding out your mouth and shit, then that's just a problem. Like, you gotta get to the hospital then. If you get hit and you ain't bleeding out your mouth and all that, you can kind of, wrap it up right there. Gotta save your life. But if you bleeding out your mouth, you only got a certain amount of time before you can get to the hospital, G, or you about to check out.
Okay, who shot her?
Her brother.
It's still a mystery why Jason Iverson snapped and did what he did. According to his mom, he was struggling a bit in life at that point. But even so, that is not enough reason to kill your own sister. Jason's mom admitted that her son must have had issues, and she only presumed he was getting the necessary help since he was an adult.
There were a couple of setbacks that he was dealing with in his life, and I guess he just couldn't handle it. Everything just came to a head. To my knowledge, he was supposed to have been seeking help. Being a parent, it's kind of hard when you have grown children that have issues because there's only so much you can do.
Seeing her son kill her beautiful daughter, who was heavy with a child, was just too much. Jason's mom finds it hard to place her daughter's killer and her son as the same person, but she admitted she has refused to see Jason or speak with him since the incident, and she's not sure if she'll be able to forgive him for what he did. The feeling is also mutual for the rest of the family, including Mercedes' cousin, who made the 911 call, and the family of Trey, who were shocked to hear of his sudden demise. It was just difficult to imagine a happily married man getting murdered by a member of a family he married into, much more a close brother-in-law. You see, Jason and Mercedes were true siblings who had grown up together right from childhood. They both shared so many memories together and had that sibling connection. But then, at some point, they got into a dispute and things never really remained the same between the two. On the other hand, Trey and Mercedes weren't bad people. If anything, the couple was happily expecting a child. Anyone in their shoes would expect other members of both families, including cousins and in-laws, to share in the joy. But no one knows. Perhaps it was seeing Mercedes pregnant that made Jason mad, or perhaps it was an old grudge, one which he couldn't come to terms with, that triggered the rage. Jason Iverson was arrested soon after the unprovoked murder. He was charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder and another charge of attempted aggravated murder. By the nature of this crime, Iverson was likely to get a life sentence. Iverson showed up in court on the 14th of September 2023 and surprised.
Now, when you do some shit like that, who you think gonna be in court that's gonna be on your side? Because this is an inter-family crime. You committed a crime against your family member. So it's kind of like you tore the family apart. Like, who on your side? Because everybody, they lost your sister, so they kind of like, they looking at you like you done took your sister. I ain't about to vouch for you, or I ain't about to be feeling sympathetic for you. You came and did this. You chose to do this, so now you got to lay in the bed you made.
Surprisingly, he pleaded not guilty.
He is the man accused of shooting and killing his own pregnant sister and her husband at a Maple Heights park in the last couple of days. He's making his initial appearance. Let's take you live into court.
There are 2 counts of aggravated murder under revised code section 2903.01. The penalty for which is the imprisonment for life and a fine of $25,000 or death. There's also a charge of attempted aggravated murder, which is a felony of the 1st degree, carries with it an indefinite prison term with minimum terms selected by the court from 3 to 11 years, and a maximum term that is determined pursuant to section 2929.144 of the revised code. I'm going to ask you for a technical plea as to count 1. Count 1 being a charge of aggravated murder.
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, and as to count 2, charge of aggravated murder.
Not guilty.
And as to charge 3, a count of attempted aggravated murder.
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, not guilty as to all charges.
Yes.
In later court hearings, statements from family and friends, as well as associates who knew the victims, confirmed that Mercedes was 7 months pregnant. They also revealed that the couple had already agreed on the name of their child. They would call her Eva. It was also revealed that Trey, whose real name was Norbert Carter, was not beefing with Iverson, nor did he expect to get attacked that day. The family had simply gone for a picnic with a gift for Cynthia, Mercedes' mom, only for Iverson to do what he did. The real question on everyone's minds was why Jason did what he did that day, but they didn't really get an answer. Instead, what they got was an apology.
Now, they didn't get a concrete answer. The judge said the families didn't get that concrete answer as to why he would do that. But Jason did offer his apologies to his family as well as to the family of Norbert Carter.
I had no right to take your son. And you're right, that was a very cowardly way to handle my business. And I'm sorry that I did.
Nigga. They don't want to hear you say you sorry for what you did after you did it and they can never get their loved one back. They don't want to hear that shit, nigga. What the fuck? They fucking hate your motherfucking ass because he ain't had no beef with you. You ain't had no beef with him. You had beef with your sister, but you shouldn't even did that to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, my nigga, yeah, come on, man. They ain't trying to hear that shit from the family.
What I did that day. I'm truly sorry for taking Mercedes away from us.
That shit don't sound believable at all. Go ahead on with that shit, bro. Go hit your cell, hit your bunk, G, for the rest of your life.
It hurts. It hurts like hell knowing that she's gone. I destroyed the whole family that day. I did. And I deserve whatever punishment that's coming to her.
Oh, you gonna get it.
Guys,
don't
do something special for your wife this year with a gift that she'll cherish forever. It says, to my
little fake ass.
According to the court proceedings, it was revealed that Iverson never had a criminal record and had been a credible resident in Cleveland for years. It was also revealed that he was working at Walmart at the time when the incident happened. All of this was to paint the picture that this man wasn't a murderer, but yet it didn't quite justify the reasons for his terrible actions. Just so you know, Iverson had kids of his own and was, in fact, expecting a baby as of the time he killed his sister. And so, it's not that this man doesn't understand the joy of welcoming a child into the world. It's something else entirely, something evil.
Yes, it was, Matt. Those who loved both.
So he had a baby on the way, and he went and killed his sister, whose baby was almost here. Crazy work.
Norbert Carter and his wife Mercedes Iverson were in tears as they tried to understand why Jason Iverson would murder members of his own family. Prosecutors say a family feud led up to the Labor Day shooting at a park in Maple Heights. And in court today, family members wore shirts honoring Carter, who was just 31 years old when he was murdered just after Iverson shot and killed his own sister, who was 30 years old.
As for his mental health, Iverson's lawyer claimed he had been receiving proper treatment and was even prescribed medication before now. This scenario left everyone in court wondering, if this man wasn't a psycho, then why did he do what he did? Was it a momentary breakdown, or was he just the world's most evil brother?
Well, Jay, I tell you, it was an emotional day in court today.
So that's the county. That's on Ontario downtown. You know what I'm saying? You get off at East 9th or West 3rd, you can come right and get on. But all of these up here, them blacked out window vent looking things, that's jail. That's the jail. All up there, that's the jail.
The victims' families as well as families on both sides, because they are related. The question that everyone wanted to know was, why would Jason Iverson murder his sister, her husband, and their unborn child? And unfortunately, they did not get that answer. The defense, they said that Jason Iverson's mental health just deteriorated, and what we heard in court is that he just snapped that day on Labor Day.
The court must have gotten the latter impression, Iverson, as they set this man's bond at $3 million. However, as if his crimes weren't bad enough, Iverson had also killed his own 13-year-old son, though not on the same day he killed Mercedes. The judge decided to sentence him for this crime alongside the one on ground. The case didn't drag on for too long.
He killed his own motherfucking 13-year-old son? A whole nother incident? Did I just hear that, y'all family? Drop y'all comments in the comment section. Let me know if y'all hear that. Am I tripping or what? Or did this nigga kill his own son in a complete another incident and about to get sentenced for that? Right, what he about to get sentenced for now? Talk to me, man. Let me know.
In fact, at the end of the day, Iverson was sentenced to life in prison without parole for his crimes.
The man convicted of murdering his pregnant sister, her unborn child, and her husband at a Labor Day church cookout was sentenced. The judge sentenced 29-year-old Jason Iverson to life without parole on each count of murder.
So that's 3 counts. He got 3 life sentences, but he ain't even 30 yet. He wasn't even 30 when he got smacked with this sentence. Smack. Ooh, dogged him. Threw the book at him. The whole one. He ain't like enough. He got a life sentence for each murder. Not just 1 life without parole. He got 3 lives without paroles. Crazy sentence.
Iverson will not be able to get out of prison as his sentences are just too heavy.
And so that sentence was life without parole for the 3 counts of aggravated murder for Jason.
Hey, he gonna be that nigga in there, that old nigga. Yeah, I'm gonna die in here, young man. So, you know, he gonna be that old nigga in there talking about, yeah, young man, I'll never go home. I ain't never going home. You gonna get out one day. I'll never get out. I'm dying in here. Old nigga.
Iverson, who shot and killed his sister, her husband, as well as their unborn child. Iverson also shot his own 13-year-old son, and he pleaded guilty to felonious assault for that. He received 8 to 12 years for that count, and his sentences will run concurrent that prison time. He will not be able to be released from prison.
Of all the times Jason Iverson should have committed murder, it shouldn't have been when the victim was pregnant with an innocent child. The most painful part of it all is that he had children of his own. The families of both Mercedes and Carter were heartbroken, and not even the life sentence could numb the pain they felt inside. Trey Carter's mom, for one, told everyone how much she hates Jason Iverson and that she'll keep hating him forever.
When I wake up tired, I know it's because of the energy I spent hating you. I know I will be forever tired because I will forever hate you.
Such is the scenario with cases like these, when people get murdered by close family members, leaving the rest of the family to mourn for life. However, Mercedes isn't the only victim in this category. In fact, the case of Enkia is one that moved the entire community to tears.
That possible 1144 in a field. They at Cornelia, 4488 North Cornelia. They have the victim apparently set on fire at this time.
Fresno police and fire responded to this dirt access road for a report of a dead woman set on fire. Authorities have now confirmed the victim is 26-year-old Nikaya Logan, who was pregnant at the time of her murder. The suspect, her own brother.
The family members have just confirmed that Nikaya was 8 months pregnant with baby Noah, and now this comes right after the family just threw her a baby shower over.
Oh my God. Just threw her a baby shower. And now her and the baby gone. Man, that is crazy. And he getting charged with that baby's murder too. Like you ain't just one. You getting 2 for that. Goofy man.
For the weekend, now 2 lives have been cut short, and we want to warn you that this the details in this investigation can be very disturbing.
On December 11th, 2022, Nakaya Rebecca Logan held a baby shower. It was a beautiful event attended by friends and family to celebrate her journey into motherhood. Nakaya couldn't wait to be a mother and was excited for her and her baby's future. She was surrounded by family and friends who loved her, or so she thought. 2 days after the joyous baby showers, the love in the heart of one of those family members turned deadly, and Nakaya and her baby paid the ultimate price.
It's pretty relevant in my opinion. I mean, it takes an awful lot of evil, hate, planning to your own sister multiple times.
Nakaya Logan and her family lived in Fresno, California. The city of Fresno, located in the heart of the San Joaquin Valley, has a distinct character and atmosphere that residents describe as calm and charming. It is the kind of city where people are full of hopes and dreams. Residents of Fresno enjoy spending their day off park hopping or going on farm fresh trails. It is a relatively peaceful city, but like most cities, Fresno has a dark side. And unbeknownst to Nakaya, as she set out to plan her baby shower, she would be drawn into it. Nakaya Logan was a 26-year-old young woman who was studying at Fresno City College to become a childcare worker. Unlike most people, Nakaya had always loved working with kids. It had always been a dream of hers to one day be able to help children in the system, and she was well on her way to doing that. She had a plan set out. She was going to work really hard in college, graduate, and get a job as a teaching assistant at an elementary school. She hoped to gain some experience working with kids in the school system before transitioning to working with kids in the social work system. She always wanted to make a difference, and everything was going according to plan until she found herself pregnant. Though Nakaya had not planned this pregnancy, she was nonetheless excited. She already loved kids, so there was no reason she couldn't have one of her own. The timing was not ideal. She was still in school and still had a long way before she achieved her dream of becoming a social worker, but she knew she could do all of that and still love her baby. She, of course, knew it would be hard. She wasn't naive enough to think everything would continue as it was. She knew her life would change in a major way from the moment the baby arrived, and she knew she'd have to make sacrifices along the way. She also knew it might take her longer to get to where she wanted to be now that she was going to have a baby. But Nakaya was a relentless optimist. She was the kind of person who always found the bright spot in every situation, no matter how frustrating or hopeless. Nakaya was described as a happy soul, the kind of person who radiated love all over her. She had this warmth about her that spread to everyone lucky enough to cross paths with her. It had always been like that from when she was young. From her days of cheerleading, she was the true definition of a cheerleader, for she brought cheer everywhere she went.
She was lovable, she was caring, she had this infectious laugh that just made you want to just laugh more and more.
Nakaya always found a reason to laugh, and she had a very distinct laugh. It was loud, bright, and infectious.
She was always laughing, she was always smiling. She was just a bundle of light, basically.
Her cheerful personality definitely came in handy when she found herself pregnant, but she wasn't worried about it. She knew she had a strong support system around her, and she would have all the help she needed. Nakaya was very excited about being a mom, and though it was hard to juggle her pregnancy and schoolwork, she somehow made it work and couldn't wait to have her baby. The moment she found out she was having a boy, she knew exactly what she wanted to name him. She picked out the name Noah. It was a name that resonated with Nakaya deeply, and she hoped her son would live up to the hopes and dreams she already had for him, even as he was still in her belly. As she watched her baby grow in her belly, her excitement grew, and it all culminated in the events of December 11th, 2022, her baby shower. Nakaya was very happy to have a baby shower, not just because it meant she got to have many gifts, but because it meant she was getting closer to seeing her baby. She was now 36 weeks pregnant, and in a few weeks, she would be welcoming her son to the world. Nakaya's baby shower was wonderful. Her friends and family poured their heart into the planning and made it exactly the way she wanted it. It was a night full of stories, joy, laughter, and a lot of love, kind of like how Nakaya lived her life. But unfortunately for Nakaya, her otherwise bright life would take a tragic turn. Everyone has a different relationship with their siblings. Some are extremely close to each other, others barely speak, and there are a lot of people right in the middle, loving their siblings one minute and hating them the next. But one thing most people with siblings can agree on is siblings can be very annoying. They can be that thorn in your flesh that bothers you a lot, but you can't get rid of.
Yeah, they can be, especially if you're a younger sibling, but not so much as to where you want to kill them. Like, you know what I'm saying? My brother got murdered. He was my only sibling, but yeah, I got on his nerves. He got on my nerves, but not enough never to kill him or nothing, or he wanted to harm me like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy that it got to that point.
Because you love them. Unfortunately, just like we don't get to pick our parents, we also don't get to pick our siblings. Some of us are very lucky to have the best siblings who love and care for us no matter what, but some aren't. For some people, their siblings are not their confidant or safe space. They're their worst nightmare. For Nakaya, that was even more true. Nakaya came from a very small family. It was just her mother, and her older brother. While Nakaya was quite close to her mother, the same couldn't be said for her relationship with her brother. That relationship had been quite difficult from the very beginning. From the moment she could remember, Nakaya had always felt that her brother didn't like her. Her brother, Aaron Jamal Dudley, was a good 15 years older than her. And when there's that kind of age gap between siblings, the older sibling would sometimes be like the bonus parent of the younger sibling, or it would go left and they won't even have a relationship. That was the case with Nakaya and Aaron. Although Nakaya tried to have a relationship with her brother, it just never seemed to work out. When they were younger and didn't get along, their mother just chalked it up to sibling rivalry. But as they grew older, she was forced to confront a bitter truth. Her oldest child, Aaron, was never going to like his baby sister. There was always anger in him towards her. No matter how hard she tried to be sweet, playful, and respectful, she always got anger back. You might wonder why Aaron wouldn't like his sister. Well, it's always hard for children who have been an only child for so long to accept that they have to share their parents. Sometimes children in these positions can grow resentful of the child and feel like they stole the parent's affection. That could have easily been the case for Aaron, except in most cases like this, the children often grow out of it. When they become adults, they realize that it's not their siblings' fault and they learn to let go of their anger and resentment. But in Aaron's case, it never happened. Aaron Dudley never grew out of his resentment. It would seem that for Aaron, it was not a phase, but who he was as a person. Now, it wasn't like Aaron got along with everyone but Nakaya. He wasn't the type of person who made friends easily and always came off as a little off to people. But there were still a few people, including his mom, that he got along with. This made Nakaya feel a little better. Maybe she wasn't the problem, maybe it was just who Aaron was. But it certainly didn't make living with him any better. Aaron was a ticking time bomb and would explode at any given time, and his family would often be at the receiving end of that. As Nakaya grew into a young woman, she stopped trying to fix things with her big brother and just accepted that, unlike most big brothers, Aaron wasn't going to protect her from her tormentors. He was going to be her tormentor. And so she tried to figure out a way to live with him in peace. And sometimes she succeeded, but sometimes she failed. When she started college, things became a little better. Nakaya would be gone most of the day, busy with schoolwork to even have to deal with him, and when she got back, she'd be too exhausted to pay him any attention. This routine worked for her for some time until she got pregnant, and everything changed. She didn't think it was possible, but Aaron got even more hateful. His antics and explosions got worse, and he would find a way to create trouble for her. It was like he hated the fact that there was going to be another baby in the house. Of course, it was possible that he saw Nakaya's baby as just another person he had to share his mother's affection with. Or maybe he just didn't like babies. That is not clear at the moment.
He grown. He that grown. Talk about sharing his mother affection. Man, come on, bro. You gotta be crazy. Like, man, this is an infant. They don't know what's going on. They ain't asked to be here. You worried about them giving it affection.
But what is clear is how unsafe Nakaya felt in his presence. They could have days when everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, things would get very bad. At this point, Aaron was 41 years old, so he wasn't just older than Nakaya, he was bigger and stronger. And when he started his antics, it was often very scary for Nakaya. Aaron's antics became so scary one day that Nakaya and her mother couldn't handle it alone. They had to call for help. On that particular day, Aaron had started as usual, and Nakaya was very terrified. But as he raged on, it became clear that this episode was unlike anything they had ever witnessed before. Aaron was becoming so terrifying that Nakaya feared for her safety and that of her mother. When they could not calm him down, they...
So when he
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. on most...
It's like...
They had to call in the authorities.
The victim did, fear for her safety on that call on July 28th. So if I were to define it, I would say not great.
The authorities, upon getting to the house, realized things had gotten way out of hand, and Aaron was now a danger to himself and his family.
The Fresno Police Department received a call on July the 28th of 2021, so about a year and a half ago, where the suspect in this case was deemed to be a threat to either himself or someone else, and was placed on I believe it was a 72-hour hold.
The officers took him to the hospital and put him on an involuntary 72-hour psychiatric detention. But after 72 hours, a psychiatrist came came in and evaluated him and found him okay enough to go home. Aaron was then released into the custody of his mother. That day, Nakiah had expressed very clearly to officers that she didn't feel safe living in the same house as Aaron, but without any crime committed, they couldn't hold him for longer than they had to. What they didn't know was that releasing Aaron Dudley would set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of Nakiah's life forever.
See, the police is not preventative. They are reactors. They wait till something happens, then they react. They like, we can't do nothing until somebody got to die first before the police get there and start putting their hands in and all of that and start to try to rescue. But when you call them and tell them, well, I'm having a problem, I don't think this is right, somebody about gonna get hurt. Well, we can't do anything if no one's hurt. What I'm telling you, man, you call them 20 minutes later, well, somebody dead now they can, man, that's crazy.
To that possible 1144 in a field, they at Cornelia, 4488 North Cornelia, they have the victim apparently set on fire at this time.
After that last antic that brought the officers to Nakiah's family home, she stopped feeling safe. When Aaron was released and brought home, Nakiah felt immensely scared. She could feel that something in Aaron had switched. It felt like he not only hated her, but he wanted her gone. She didn't know how, but she had this feeling very deep inside her that Aaron was going to try to get rid of her. But not being able to fathom why her brother would hate her so much that he would try to get rid of her, Nakiah dismissed that feeling. But unfortunately for her, that feeling was very much real, and it would manifest on December 13th. That day began very normally for Nakiah. She was towards the end of her pregnancy, so getting out of bed was often very hard for her, and it took an abnormal amount of time for her to drag herself out of her room. Nakiah was especially tired on that day. She had had her baby shower just 2 days ago, and it still felt like she was still tired. She made herself some breakfast and proceeded to continue getting ready for the baby's arrival. That was what she did most days. Make sure she had everything she would need before the baby came. Her mother was out of the house that day, so it was just Nakiah and Aaron, and Nakiah did everything possible to avoid running into him. But it was not a very big house, and eventually they ran into each other. Nakiah became instantly terrified. Aaron had that look in his eye again, the one that sent shivers down her spine. She tried to get around him, but he stood in her way, and he was very angry. Nakiah was rooted to the spot. Aaron was in a fit of rage, and in his hand, an ordinary kitchen utensil became a weapon with which he attacked his sister, aiming directly at her stomach as if intentionally trying to make sure the baby did not survive the attack. After Aaron was done and life had drained out of Nakiah, he carried her body and dumped her in a bin. He then pushed her body to an unpaved access road near an apartment complex, not very far from the house the family lived in. Once he got to a place he believed he would not be seen, Aaron set the garbage bin on fire with Nakiah in it and ran off. Once he got home, he did a thorough cleanup of the house to try and get rid of evidence before going about his day as if nothing had happened. But not long after, Aaron committed this horrific act. A maintenance crew passing by discovered the burning trash bin. When they arrived, they saw a victim who had been set on fire, completely engulfed in fire. The body was burned beyond recognition. Only a few acrylic nails had survived the fire. The maintenance workers immediately called the authorities to report the horrific scene they had just witnessed. Before long, authorities surrounded the area, cordoning it off to begin their investigation. The presence of several uniformed officers alerted residents that something had happened. A lot of residents poured out of their homes to see what was going on. At that point, Nakiah's mom was back home and searching for Nakiah. It didn't look like she had gone out because her phone, purse, and everything else she would usually take out with her was still at the house. Nakiah's mom was already panicking. She was worried something had happened to Nakiah. Little did she know. The reality of what happened to Nakiah was much more horrific. Just as she was preparing to report Nakiah missing, she heard some rumbling outside and went to check. Then she heard people talking about a body that had been discovered burning not far from there. Her heart sank, desperately praying that it was not her daughter. Nakiah's mother frantically ran to the scene and amidst heavy tears, told the officers that her daughter was missing. The officers showed her the acrylic nails salvaged from the fire, and her heart shattered. She knew without a doubt those nails belonged to Nakiah.
Fresno police and fire responded to this dirt access road for a report of a dead woman set on fire. Authorities have now confirmed the victim is 26-year-old Nakiah Logan, who was pregnant at the time of her murder. The suspect, her own brother.
The family members have just confirmed that Nakiah was 8 months pregnant with baby Noah, and now this comes right after the family just threw her a baby shower over the weekend. Now, 2 lives have been cut short, and we want to warn you, that the details in this investigation can be very disturbing.
The officers started with the neighbors. The first thing they learned was that Nakaya was a very sweet and happy soul. Everyone they spoke to had nothing but good things to say about Nakaya, which raised a lot of questions for the detectives in charge of the case. If Nakaya had been a wonderful person loved by everyone, why had she been killed in such a horrific way, and who would do something like that? Nakaya's autopsy brought with it more questions than answers. Detectives discovered that the attack that took Nakaya's life had been directed at one area, the area where her uterus would be, almost as if the real target was the baby, and Nakaya had simply been in the way. This initially led detectives to believe that Nkaya's baby daddy might be their suspect, but before long, their investigation led them to someone else, someone unexpected. Within a few hours of news of Nkaya's tragic murder reaching the public, many witnesses came forward. The entire city of Fresno had been shaken by the vile murder, and everyone wanted desperately to see the killer in handcuffs. Amongst the many witnesses, a few stood out to the detectives. One witness told officers that they observed a suspicious person pushing a green city garbage bin along an unpaved road near the housing complex and then setting fire to its contents. The witness told detectives that he thought the person was trying to set fire to the garbage bin, but on closer inspection, he realized the man was setting fire to the bin behind the green one. Another witness testified that on his way back home in the same apartment complex, he observed a man trying to set fire to a green garbage bin. He just thought the man was burning his trash, so it didn't seem suspicious to him at the time. But the strongest testimony that broke the case came from a witness who not only observed a man standing on top of what looked like a dead body, but also took a photo of him. But that wasn't all. The break on the case probably came when detectives found surveillance footage of a man pushing a trash bin down the street, around the time witnesses reported seeing fire. This man, according to detectives, looked a lot like Aaron Dudley, Nakaya's older brother. At this point, the detectives had a lot of evidence pointing them to Aaron. The witness
multiple people seen that man drag that can down there and set it on fire. These different walks of life saying the same thing about what they seen him do.
Testimonies and surveillance footage of a man matching his description pushing the garbage bin down the street, but they still wanted a lot more evidence before making their arrest. And officers who were called to the scene had a lot to say. They had observed that when Nakaya's mom came to the scene looking frantic and scared, she came alone. Her older child, who she mentioned having, was nowhere to be seen. This was the first thing that raised the detectives' suspicions about Aaron. After gathering all the information, the detectives were able to obtain a search warrant to search Nakaya's family home in the hope of finding more information pointing to Aaron. They did. When they got to the house, the first thing they noticed was a green garbage can in front of the house, and when the detectives peered inside it, they noticed it was spotless. Since that was unusual for garbage cans, they concluded it had been recently cleaned. The house had also been wiped clean, but upon closer look, the detectives found that it was covered in gore that lit up under blue light. This lined up with their earlier belief that Nakaya had been murdered somewhere else before being taken to the alleyway. After gathering enough information, the detectives went to bring Aaron in for questioning, but the moment Aaron saw them, he knew the jig was up and tried to take off. His actions when confronted with evidence, in addition to all the information discovered, led detectives to conclude that Aaron Dudley had murdered his sister, Nakaya.
This is a person who had the wherewithal to try to clean up the evidence, try to dispose of the body, ran when the police came to knock on the door to see what was going on. So this is not somebody who does not know what he's doing.
On December 14th, 2022, one day after the tragic murder, Aaron Dudley was arrested for the murder of his sister and her unborn baby Noah.
Developing now, authorities have made an arrest in the death of a pregnant woman who was murdered and set on fire in Northwest Fresno. Her own brother now in custody, accused in the crime.
Aaron was charged with the baby's death because Nakaya was so far along in her pregnancy, and at the time of her murder, baby Noah would have been able to survive outside of her body. Aaron Dudley appeared in court not long after to enter his plea, and he pleaded not guilty to both charges. Although the case is still in court, the prosecutors are confident they can win this and get Nakaya and her unborn son the justice they deserve.
Yeah, well, you know, y'all let me know what y'all think about that video in the comments. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy. So, you know, just let me know. Appreciate y'all for engaging. Thank you all my subscribers. You feel me? Like always, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. We're a growing channel. And when I drop my website, I'm always put the link in the description. And yeah, so till next time, we out.